Alexander Sterling's voice thundered across the boardroom. Freeze the account. Right now. Silence. Every executive turned toward the giant screen. A single photograph stared back at them. Emma Carter. A cleaner. A woman who earned in a year what Alexander could spend before breakfast. And according to the evidence, she had stolen from him. The documents looked undeniable. The transactions were real. The money was gone. Yet something didn't make sense. Because Emma wasn't like the others. She never chased luxury. Never asked for favors. Never tried to impress him. So why would she suddenly risk everything? As lawyers demanded police involvement, Alexander couldn't stop asking himself one question. What if Emma wasn't the thief? Hours later, the answer would expose a shocking betrayal. Destroy one woman's reputation. Save another person's life. And teach a billionaire a lesson no amount of money could buy. Because the cleaner's purchase changed everything. Chapter 1. The test begins. 3 months earlier, Alexander Sterling had everything money could buy. Private jets, luxury properties, a business empire. But after being betrayed by a former fiancée who vanished with millions of dollars, he trusted nobody. Every smile looked fake. Every compliment felt purchased. Then 3 women caught his attention. Vanessa Brooks, a woman who loved luxury and never hid it. Chloe Bennett, an influencer obsessed with attention and status. And Emma Carter, a hardworking cleaner who quietly helped everyone around her while expecting nothing in return. Unlike most people, Emma never tried to get close to Alexander. That alone made her different. So Alexander created a test. A dangerous one. He invited each woman separately and placed an unlimited black credit card in front of them. One card, no spending limit, 24 hours. Buy whatever they wanted. Then he would review every purchase. Vanessa accepted immediately. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. Chloe accepted just as quickly, already imagining glamorous experiences and social media attention. But Emma reacted differently. She stared at the card, then at Alexander. Why me, she asked. The question caught him off guard. Nobody else had asked. After a long pause, Emma reluctantly accepted the card. Yet she looked worried instead of excited. The next morning, the spending began. Vanessa's purchases exploded. Designer fashion, luxury hotels, jewelry. Exactly what Alexander expected. Chloe wasn't far behind. Exclusive events, VIP memberships, professional photo shoots. Everything designed to increase her influence. But Emma? Nothing. Hours passed. No spending. No activity. No purchases. By evening, Alexander became curious. Then concerned. Finally, just before leaving work, a notification appeared. Emma had made her first purchase. Alexander opened the transaction report. His eyes narrowed. It wasn't a luxury store. Not a designer boutique. Not a 5-star resort. It was a hospital. Then another hospital charge appeared. And another. And another. Thousands of dollars. All directed toward medical treatment. Alexander stared at the screen. Confused. Why would a woman with unlimited spending power spend it all at a hospital? What secret was she hiding? And why did he suddenly feel that this test was becoming something much bigger than he ever imagined? Chapter 2. The Hospital's Secret. Alexander couldn't stop thinking about Emma's transactions. While Vanessa and Chloe spent fortunes on themselves, Emma had spent nearly everything at a hospital. It made no sense. So he quietly ordered a background check. Hours later, a file landed on his desk. And what he discovered changed everything. Emma wasn't spending the money on herself. She was trying to save her younger brother, Daniel Carter. Years earlier, a devastating accident had left Daniel partially disabled. Doctors believed a specialized surgery could dramatically improve his life. The problem? The surgery cost more money than Emma could ever afford. Suddenly, the hospital charges made sense. Emma had been given the chance to buy anything in the world, and she chose to help someone she loved. Alexander sat silently. Most people dream about unlimited money. Emma used it to change another person's future. For the first time since beginning the test, Alexander felt something unexpected. Respect. Meanwhile, Emma sat beside Daniel's hospital bed. Daniel noticed her worried expression immediately. "You shouldn't be doing all this for me," he said softly. Emma smiled. "You're my brother. I'd do it again." Daniel looked away. What happens when the money runs out? The question hit harder than she expected, because she didn't know the answer. Back at Sterling Global, Alexander noticed another pattern. Vanessa suddenly wanted private dinners. Chloe suddenly wanted more personal meetings. Both women seemed interested in spending time with him. But Alexander couldn't stop comparing them to Emma, the woman who barely noticed his wealth, the woman who cared more about her brother than herself. When the spending test officially ended, each woman met with Alexander separately. Vanessa proudly showed off her purchases. Chloe explained how every expense would increase her influence. Then Emma walked in. No presentación, no excitement, no expectations, only nervousness. Alexander opened her spending report. The room fell silent. Finally, he looked up. The hospital, he said. Emma immediately froze. Alexander noticed. Why was she afraid? Why didn't you tell me? He asked. Emma lowered her eyes. Because the truth was complicated. And outside that office, someone was already preparing to use that truth against her. The trap had already begun. Chapter 3. The Evidence. 3 days later, Alexander received an anonymous email. No name, no explanation, just documents, bank records, transaction reports, medical receipts, and one chilling message. Ask Emma Carter where the missing money went. Alexander frowned. Missing money? He opened the files. His expression darkened. Several massive charges appeared on Emma's account. Charges far larger than Daniel's surgery. Charges that couldn't be explained. The evidence looked convincing. Too convincing. For the first time, doubt entered Alexander's mind. Had he misjudged Emma? Had she simply hidden her greed better than everyone else? Meanwhile, Emma was having the happiest day she'd experienced in years. Daniel's surgery had finally been approved. Hope was beginning to feel real. Then her phone rang. Alexander. The moment she answered, she knew something was wrong. His voice sounded cold, controlled, distant. Come to my office. Nothing more. When Emma arrived, tension filled the room. Alexander slid a thick folder across the desk. Explain this. Emma opened it. Her face instantly turned pale. Pages of transactions she had never seen. Charges she had never made. Money she had never touched. This isn't possible, she whispered. Alexander watched carefully. Was she acting? Or genuinely shocked? I didn't do this, Emma said. The answer came immediately, without hesitation. But the evidence was sitting right in front of them. Alexander pointed at the records, then explained them. Emma couldn't, because she didn't understand them herself. As she flipped through the pages, one transaction suddenly caught her attention. Her eyes widened, only for a second, but Alexander saw it. What is it? He asked. Emma quickly looked away. Nothing. That was a mistake. Now Alexander knew she recognized something. And if she recognized it, she was hiding something. But who was she protecting? Emma stared at the documents, her hands trembling. Finally, she closed the folder. Then she said something Alexander would never forget. If I tell you the truth. She paused, tears threatening to appear. Someone else's life could be destroyed. Silence filled the office. For the first time, neither of them knew who to trust, and neither realized the worst was still coming. Chapter 4. The Trap Closes. Emma's words haunted Alexander. If I tell you the truth, someone else's life could be destroyed. For days, he reviewed the evidence. The numbers pointed at Emma, but his instincts refused to agree. Nothing about her behavior matched that of a thief. Meanwhile, Emma was fighting her own nightmare. Daniel's surgery date was approaching. Everything should have felt hopeful. Instead, fear consumed her, because she knew exactly where one of the suspicious transactions came from. And she knew who was responsible. Her older brother, Ryan Carter, the family's constant source of trouble. For years, Emma had protected him from the consequences of his bad decisions. Debt, poor choices, broken promises. She had always believed he could change. Then her phone rang. Ryan. The moment she heard his voice, her heart sank. Emma, we need to talk. Hours later, they met in an empty parking lot. Ryan looked terrified, sweating, shaking, guilty. Before Emma could ask another question, he confessed. He had somehow gained access to information connected to the unlimited card. At first, he took only a small amount, just enough to escape debt collectors. But one transaction became another, and another, until he lost control. Emma felt sick. Everything Daniel needed was now in danger because of Ryan's selfishness. Years of sacrifice threatened to collapse. But then Ryan revealed something even worse. He wasn't the person who sent the anonymous evidence. Someone else had. Someone who wanted Emma destroyed. Someone who deliberately used Ryan's mistakes against her. Now the question wasn't whether Emma was innocent. The question was who was trying to frame her. Back at Sterling Global, Alexander finally ordered a full forensic investigation. No assumptions. No guesses. Every transaction would be traced. Every digital footprint examined. The investigators worked through the night. Then the breakthrough arrived. A specialist rushed into the conference room, carrying a report. Alexander grabbed it immediately. His eyes widened. The evidence had been manipulated. Not entirely. Just enough to make Emma appear guilty. Legitimate hospital payments had been mixed with fraudulent transactions. Someone had carefully constructed a trap. Someone wanted Alexander to believe Emma had stolen from him. Suddenly, everything changed. Alexander wasn't searching for a thief anymore. He was hunting the person behind the setup. And the answer was closer than he imagined. Chapter 5. The Shocking Truth. The investigation uncovered something nobody expected. The anonymous email didn't come from Ryan. It didn't come from Emma. It came from someone Alexander knew very well. Chloe Bennett, the social media star, the charming influencer, the woman who always seemed confident and composed. When investigators traced the email trail, every piece of evidence pointed directly to her. At first, Alexander refused to believe it, but then more proof surfaced, and the truth became impossible to deny. Chloe had become obsessed, not with the money, with winning. The moment she realized Alexander's attention was shifting toward Emma, jealousy took over. She began secretly researching Emma's life, watching her, digging into her family, following every lead she could find. That's when she discovered Ryan, and Ryan's mistakes became the perfect weapon. Using real transactions mixed with altered records, Chloe created a false narrative. Then she anonymously delivered it to Alexander. Her goal was simple: destroy Emma's reputation, remove her competition, and become the obvious choice. But Chloe made one fatal mistake. She underestimated the truth. When Alexander finished reading the final report, anger burned inside him. Not because Chloe had lied, because he had fallen for it. Because despite everything he admired about Emma, he had doubted her, and now he had to face the consequences. Meanwhile, Emma sat alone in a hospital waiting room. Daniel's surgery was scheduled for the next morning. Instead of feeling relieved, she felt exhausted. Weeks of stress had drained her. Then she heard footsteps approaching. She looked up. Alexander. For several seconds, neither spoke. Finally, he sat beside her. "I know the truth." Emma remained silent. "The investigation cleared you." Still no response. Then she asked the question he feared most. When everything looked bad, she looked directly into his eyes. "What did you believe?" Alexander couldn't lie. Not anymore. He took a deep breath. "I believe the evidence." Emma slowly nodded. Just once. But that single nod hurt more than any accusation. Because in that moment, Alexander realized something devastating. He hadn't only tested Emma. Life had tested him. And when trust mattered most, he failed. Emma stood as nurses called for Daniel. Before walking away, she looked at Alexander. Not with anger, not with hatred, but with disappointment. And somehow, that hurt even more. As she disappeared down the hallway, Alexander remained alone. Watching the woman he was beginning to love walk farther away. And for the first time in his life, money couldn't solve the problem. Chapter 6. The Man Who Had Everything. For the first time in years, Alexander Sterling felt powerless. Not because of business, not because of money, because of trust. The woman he admired no longer believed in him. And this time, he couldn't blame anyone else. He blamed himself. For years, Alexander believed money revealed character. But now he understood something much deeper. Trust reveals character too. And when Emma needed trust the most, he gave her suspicion. That realization followed him everywhere. At work, at home, in every quiet moment. Meanwhile, Daniel's surgery had begun. Emma sat alone in the hospital waiting room. Every minute felt like an hour. Everything depended on what happened behind those operating room doors. Then a familiar voice interrupted her thoughts. "Have you eaten today?" Emma looked up. Alexander stood there holding 2 coffees and a small bag of food. Not an assistant, not a driver. Him. For a moment, she didn't know what to say. Alexander sat beside her. He didn't ask for forgiveness, didn't make excuses, didn't try to defend himself. He simply stayed, hour after hour, waiting beside her, like everyone else. Finally, a doctor emerged. Both stood instantly. The doctor's smile said everything before he spoke. The surgery was successful. Emma froze. Then tears filled her eyes. Years of fear, years of sacrifice, years of uncertainty, all crashing down at once. Dana was going to be okay. Not perfect, not immediately, but better, much better. As emotion overwhelmed her, Alexander quietly placed a hand on her shoulder. Not to impress her, not to win points, simply because she wasn't alone. And for the first time in weeks, hope returned. Over the next several months, Daniel's recovery exceeded expectations. Every step he took felt like a miracle. Every improvement reminded Emma why she had fought so hard. Meanwhile, Alexander made a decision. No grand gestures. No billionaire shortcuts. If he wanted Emma's trust back, he would earn it. The slow way. The honest way. He helped expand employee support programs. Funded rehabilitation initiatives. Improved medical assistance programs. Quietly. Without cameras. Without publicity. Without expecting recognition. At first, Emma remained cautious. Then curious. Then slowly, she began to see something different. A man who wasn't trying to impress her. A man who was trying to become better. And that made all the difference. Months later, Alexander invited Emma to dinner. Nothing extravagant. No media. No business agenda. Just dinner. The evening was simple, comfortable, honest. For the first time, they spoke like 2 people rather than a billionaire and an employee. Then Alexander slid a folder across the table. Inside were investment accounts, properties, financial assets, enough wealth to change Emma's life forever. Alexander looked at her. "I want to take care of you." Emma opened the folder, read through it, then calmly closed it, and pushed it back. Alexander blinked, confused. "What are you doing?" Emma smiled gently. "I'm saying no." For a moment, he was speechless. "No." Emma nodded. "You don't owe me a reward." "It's not a reward." "Then what is it?" Alexander opened his mouth, then stopped, because suddenly he understood. Emma wasn't rejecting the money. She was rejecting the idea that she could be bought. The very lesson he had spent years trying to learn. And in that moment, everything changed. At the beginning of this story, Alexander had all the power, the money, the influence, the control. Now Emma possessed something far more valuable, the freedom to walk away, and the strength to do it. For the first time in his life, Alexander knew with certainty that someone wanted him. Not his wealth, not his status, not his name, him. Months later, their relationship grew naturally. No tests, no games, no hidden motives, just honesty. The one thing Alexander had been searching for all along. Vanessa eventually moved on in search of another wealthy opportunity. Chloe's deception became public, destroying the reputation she had carefully built. Ryan accepted responsibility and slowly rebuilt the trust he had broken. And Daniel? The young man at the center of it all finally took his first independent steps during rehabilitation. When Emma saw it, she cried harder than she had on the day of the surgery. Because some victories are worth every sacrifice. Ending. Sometimes, the true measure of a person isn't what they do when they have nothing. It's what they do when they have everything. Alexander believed unlimited money would reveal people's character. And it did. Vanessa revealed desire. Chloe revealed ambition. Ryan revealed weakness. But Emma revealed something far more powerful. Love. The kind that sacrifices quietly. The kind that expects nothing in return. The kind that money can never buy. In the end, the cleaner's purchase didn't just save her brother's future. It transformed Alexander's life. Because the woman he tested, ended up teaching him the lesson he needed most. That trust is more valuable than wealth. That character is worth more than success. And that sometimes the person everyone overlooks is the one who changes everything. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And tell me in the comments, if someone handed you a credit card with no spending limit for one day, what would you buy? And what would that choice reveal about you?